I sat in my childhood bedroom, staring at my bank account balance, $247.53. 5 years of careful saving from summer jobs and birthday money, gone in a single afternoon. The college fund my grandparents had set up for me had been redirected to my older brother James's new business venture. Sarah, you need to understand. My father's words still rang in my ears. Your brother has a real opportunity here. He's starting a legitimate business, while you're just talking about, what did you call it? A digital marketplace for sustainable products, I said quietly, knowing he wouldn't understand. Again, see, that's just fancy words for another website. James is opening a real business, a chain of premium sports equipment stores. That's tangible, that's something we can be proud of. I'm Sarah Chen, and at 22, I had just graduated from MIT with a double major in computer science and environmental engineering. Not that my parents ever really understood what that meant. To them, a real business meant brick and mortar, something they could drive past and point to with pride. My phone buzzed with a text from James. Thanks for understanding about the money, sis. I'll make it up to you once the stores take off. Maybe I'll even give you a job. I didn't respond. James had always been the golden child, captain of the football team, business degree from a state college, and now, apparently worthy of my entire college fund. The fact that I'd graduated summa cum laude from MIT, or that I'd already built 2 successful apps during college, meant nothing to my parents. Sarah, my mother called from downstairs. James is here with the store designs. Come down and see what your money is helping build. Your money. The casual way she said it made my stomach turn. I walked downstairs to find my family gathered around the dining room table, covered in architectural renderings and business plans. Look at this, Sarah. James beamed, pointing to a glossy mock-up. Premium Sports Plus. We're going to have 5 locations in the first year. This is what a real business looks like. I glanced at the renderings. Expensive retail space, high-end inventory, premium pricing in a declining retail market. Every business instinct I had screamed that this was a disaster waiting to happen. And look at the projections, my father added proudly. James could be making millions within 3 years. What's your customer acquisition strategy? I asked, unable to help myself. And how are you planning to compete with online retailers? The room went quiet. James looked confused. We'll have the best products, he said, as if that explained everything. And our locations are prime real estate. That's not what I started, but my mother cut me off. Sarah, not everyone needs fancy tech terms to be successful. James understands real business. I excused myself and went back to my room, opening my laptop to the business plan I'd been working on for months. Eco Market, a platform connecting eco-conscious consumers with verified sustainable producers. I'd already built a prototype, had interested investors, and most importantly had actual data showing market demand. My phone rang. It was Lisa, my best friend from MIT, and potential co-founder. Tell me you're not letting them take your startup money, she said without preamble. Already done, I replied, trying to keep the bitterness out of my voice. They transferred it this morning. Sarah, that's insane. You have a working prototype, you have market research, you have interested investors. Your brother has, what, a dream of selling overpriced tennis rackets, premium sports equipment, I corrected with a hollow laugh. This is ridiculous, Lisa continued. Remember Professor Jenkins? He's been asking about your platform. He has connections with venture capitalists. Let me set up a meeting. I glanced at my meager bank balance again. Lisa, I don't even have enough money for a plane ticket to a meeting. Then I'll buy your ticket. Sarah, you can't let them kill your dream because they don't understand it. Downstairs, I could hear James and my parents laughing, probably over another fancy store rendering. The sound sparked something in me, not just determination, but a quiet rage that had been building for years. Okay, I told Lisa. Set up the meeting. The next morning, I told my parents I was going to New York for a job interview. They barely looked up from James's business plans. Just make sure it's a real job, my father said. No more of this internet stuff. The meeting with Professor Jenkins and his VC connections was at a sleek office in Manhattan. I presented my prototype, my market research, and my vision for eco-market. Unlike my family, these people understood exactly what I was building. This is impressive, Sarah, said Marcus Wong, one of the venture capitalists. The platform is solid, the market timing is perfect, and your understanding of both the technical and environmental aspects is exceptional. But we need to know, are you ready to go all in? I thought about my empty bank account, about James's smirking offer of a retail job, about years of being told my ideas weren't real business. I'm not just ready, I said. I'm already all in. I have to be. I have nothing else. Marcus smiled. Sometimes having nothing else is the best motivation. We'd like to offer you seed funding, $5 million for a 20% stake. I almost fell out of my chair. Lisa squeezed my arm so hard it hurt, but Marcus continued. You'll need to move to San Francisco. We want you in the tech ecosystem, surrounded by people who understand what you're building. Can you do that? Could I move across the country, away from my family's constant doubts and James's condescending comments, away from the suffocating pressure to be something I wasn't? When do you need me to start? 2 days later, I was packing my room while my parents hosted a celebration dinner for James's first store lease signing. Sarah, my mother called up. Come down and celebrate with your brother. Can't, I replied. I'm packing. My mother appeared in my doorway, finally noticing the boxes. Packing? For what? I got a job in San Francisco. I'm leaving tomorrow. San Francisco. But that's so far. What kind of job? I zipped up my laptop bag. I'm starting a company. A real one. Oh, Sarah, she sighed. Not another website idea. Why can't you be practical like James? I didn't argue. In less than 24 hours, I'd be on a plane to California, with $5 million in seed funding, and something to prove. Sarah, James's voice boomed from downstairs. Come see the lease agreement. This is how you build a real business. I looked at my mother. I have to finish packing. That night, as the celebration continued downstairs, I wrote an email. Dear Mom and Dad, I'm sorry I couldn't be part of James's celebration. I know you believe in his business model, just like I believe in mine. I understand why you gave him my college fund. You saw something tangible, something you could understand. I'm moving to San Francisco tomorrow, to build something you might not understand, but that doesn't make it any less real. I've secured funding from investors who do understand it. I won't ask for your support or your understanding. I just want you to remember this moment. Love, Sarah. I scheduled the email to send after my plane landed in San Francisco. Then I booked a ride share for 5 a.m., before anyone would be awake to question my decision, or try to talk me out of it. As I lay in bed that last night, listening to my family's voices drift up from below, I made myself a promise. The next time they heard my name in connection with business, it wouldn't be about a website idea, or internet stuff. It would be about success they couldn't ignore, and couldn't take credit for. My phone buzzed one last time. Another text from James. Too bad you missed the celebration, sis. But hey, once my stores take off, maybe you can build me a website. I turned off my phone without replying. In the darkness of my childhood bedroom, I smiled. James had no idea that he'd just given me the perfect motivation. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just success, it's success that proves every doubt wrong. At 5 a.m., I slipped out of the house with 2 suitcases and my laptop bag. My rideshare driver was early, waiting silently in the pre-dawn darkness. Where to? He asked, as I got in. Airport, I said. I'm starting a company. He nodded, probably used to ambitious declarations from young passengers. But this wasn't just ambition, it was liberation. As we drove away, I watched my childhood home disappear in the rearview mirror, along with all the doubts and dismissals it represented. My parents had given my business fund to James, because they believed in what they could see. I was about to build something they couldn't see, but would never be able to ignore. San Francisco was waiting, and so was my future. A future that would eventually lead to a $50 million acquisition. But that's another part of the story. 3 years passed in a blur of coding sprints, investor meetings, and exponential growth. EcoMarket had evolved from a simple platform into an ecosystem that was revolutionizing sustainable commerce. We had over 2 million active users, partnerships with thousands of verified eco-friendly producers, and a valuation that made my initial seed funding look like pocket change. My small apartment in San Francisco had been replaced by a proper office in Silicon Valley, with a team of 60 passionate employees. Lisa, my co-founder and CTO, had built an AI-driven verification system that became the industry standard for authenticating sustainable products. I rarely checked my family's social media anymore, but occasionally posts would find their way to me. James's Premium Sports Plus had expanded to 3 locations, each one showcased with gleaming photos and optimistic captions. My parents shared every post, proud of their son's empire. What they didn't share were the reality behind those polished posts. Through my network, I knew that James's stores were struggling. Online competition was crushing his margins, and his premium pricing strategy was failing in a market increasingly dominated by direct-to-consumer brands. "Sarah, you need to see this," Lisa said one morning, dropping a tablet on my desk. It was a business news article about retail closures in the Midwest. Premium Sports Plus was listed among the troubled chains facing potential bankruptcy. "James burned through your college fund and your parents' retirement investment," Lisa continued. "The numbers look bad." I leaned back in my chair, emotions churning. Part of me felt vindicated, but another part remembered the little sister who once looked up to her big brother. How bad? "They're carrying about $48 million in debt. The bankruptcy filing shows they have assets worth maybe $2 million. It's over, Sarah. They just don't know it yet." My phone buzzed, a text from my mother, the first in months. "Sarah, please call home. It's important." I ignored it, focusing instead on the acquisition offer that had just landed in my inbox. A major tech company wanted to buy one of our subsidiary platforms for $120 million. "What are you thinking?" Lisa asked, knowing me too well. "I'm thinking it's time to make a different kind of deal," I replied, reaching for my phone, not to call my mother, but to call Marcus Wang, my original investor. "Marcus, remember how you said I should trust my instincts? I need your advice on something crazy." 2 days later, I sat in a boardroom with my executive team, presenting an unusual proposition. "We can use part of our latest funding round to acquire distressed retail assets," I explained. "There's a chain of sports stores that's about to go under. We can get it for pennies on the dollar." "A retail chain?" Our CFO looked skeptical. "That's not our business model." "No, but transformation is. We convert the locations into eco-friendly sports and outdoor equipment stores, integrated with our platform. Physical locations where people can test sustainable products before buying. We've been talking about this expansion for months." The team was silent, considering the implications. "There's something else," I continued. "The chain is Premium Sports Plus." Lisa's head snapped up. She knew what this meant. "Your brother's company?" she asked. I nodded. "Currently valued at about $2 million, with $48 million in debt. We can acquire it for $50 million total, clear the debt, and implement our conversion plan. The locations are actually perfect for what we want to do." The room erupted in discussion. It was a bold move, mixing personal history with business strategy, but the numbers made sense, and our sustainability-focused customer base had been demanding physical locations. "One condition," I added, silencing the room. "I handle the negotiations personally." A week later, I walked into Premium Sports Plus's headquarters, really just a small office above one of the stores. James's secretary, looking stressed, led me to his office. "Your sister's here," she announced. James looked up from his desk, his formerly confident face now lined with worry. He'd aged more than 3 years should allow. "Sarah, what are you doing here?" I sat down without being invited. "I'm here to buy your company." He laughed, but it was hollow. "Very funny. Still playing with websites." I placed a folder on his desk. "Eco Market. Current valuation, $890 million. We're offering to acquire Premium Sports Plus for $50 million. Full debt clearance, no personal liability." The color drained from his face as he looked at the numbers. "This is a joke," he whispered. "No, it's business. Real business." I emphasized the word he'd used so often to dismiss my work. "You have 24 hours to decide. After that, we'll wait for the bankruptcy and buy the assets for much less." I stood to leave, but paused at the door. "Oh, and James, I won't need that job you offered." That evening, my phone exploded with messages. "Mom, Sarah, please talk to us. James told us about your offer. Dad, we need to discuss this as a family." "James, can we meet, please?" I responded to only one. James's message: "My lawyers will contact yours tomorrow. This is business, not family." The acquisition was announced 2 weeks later. Eco Market acquires Premium Sports Plus and $50 million. Deal read the headlines. My phone rang seconds after the press release went live. "Sarah," my mother's voice was small, uncertain. "We saw the news. We didn't know about your company, about everything." "No," I replied calmly. "You didn't want to know. There's a difference." "But sweetheart, we're so proud." "Don't," I cut her off. "Don't be proud now. Be accountable. You gave away my future because you couldn't see it. Now you can see it, but you don't get to claim it." I ended the call and turned to the floor-to-ceiling windows of my office, looking out over San Francisco Bay. On my desk sat the contract James had signed, next to a photo of my empty bank account from 3 years ago. Success, I realized, wasn't just about proving them wrong. It was about proving myself right. Lisa appeared in my doorway. The transition team is ready to start converting the stores. Want to visit the first location? I smiled, picking up my jacket. Yes, let's go build something real. The story wasn't over, but this chapter had reached a satisfying end. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just success. It's success that transforms failure into something better than anyone imagined, even if some people have to learn that lesson the hard way. 1 year after the acquisition, I stood in the transformed flagship store of what was now called EcoSport. The sterile, overpriced retail space had been converted into a vibrant showcase of sustainable athletic and outdoor equipment. Interactive displays showed the environmental impact of each product, and customers could test equipment while learning about their eco-friendly manufacturing processes. The store was packed. Our integrated online-offline model had exceeded all projections, with the physical locations driving a 300% increase in platform engagement. We'd successfully converted all of James's former stores, and were opening 10 new locations across the country. Miss Chen, my assistant, approached. Your parents are here. They don't have an appointment, but I turned to see them standing awkwardly by the entrance, looking out of place among the young, environmentally conscious customers. They'd aged since I'd last seen them, or maybe I just saw them differently now. Sarah, my mother stepped forward. This is incredible. It's a real business, I said, the old bitterness creeping into my voice. Isn't that what you wanted? My father looked around at the bustling store, the innovative displays, the seamless integration of technology and retail that they'd once dismissed as just a website. We were wrong, he said quietly. About everything. Yes, you were. I kept my voice professional, aware of my employees watching. Was there something specific you needed? James is getting married, my mother blurted out. He wants you to come. I almost laughed. Of course they weren't here to truly acknowledge their mistakes or make amends. They wanted something. James is welcome to send an invitation to my office, I replied. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a board meeting. Sarah, please. My father reached for my arm. He's working in business development for a startup now. He's changed. We've all changed. I stepped back. That's good to hear. I hope he's successful. But my success isn't an opening for family reconciliation. It's a reminder of what you couldn't see. But we're proud of you now, my mother insisted. Now, I repeated. That's the problem. You're proud now that there's something to brag about. Now that there's a chain of stores you can point to. Now that my website is worth billions. But where was that pride when I needed it? My assistant stepped in smoothly. Miss Chen, the board is waiting. I nodded, turning back to my parents. Send the wedding invitation. I'll consider it. But understand this, you don't get to be proud now. You lost that right when you gave away my future to someone you thought deserved it more. As I walked away, my father called out, "We're sorry." I stopped but didn't turn around. I know you are, but you're sorry because I succeeded, not because you failed me. There's a difference. The board meeting was brief, another quarter of record growth, expansion plans on track, and our sustainability metrics exceeding all targets. Afterward, Lisa found me in my office. Your assistant told me about your parents' visit, she said. You okay? I showed her the wedding invitation that had just been delivered. James is marrying the head of marketing at a clean energy startup. Ironic, isn't it? Are you going? I looked out at the city skyline, thinking about the long journey from that empty bank account to here. Yes, I think I will. Not for them, but for me, to close that chapter properly. 2 weeks later, I sat at the wedding, watching my brother marry someone who shared the values I'd been mocked for believing in. During his speech, James did something unexpected. I want to thank my sister Sarah, he said, his voice thick with emotion, not just for saving my company, but for showing me what real vision looks like. I didn't understand what she was building, because I was too arrogant to look beyond what I knew. She turned my failure into something remarkable, something that's actually making a difference in the world. I didn't deserve her help, but she gave it anyway, and I'm grateful. Later at the reception, I approached him. Did you mean what you said? He nodded. Every word. I'm sorry, Sarah, for everything. I know, I replied. Just remember this, and success isn't about proving others wrong. It's about proving yourself right. As I drove back to my office that night, I thought about the journey. The empty bank account, the silent departure, the years of work, and finally the acquisition that changed everything. My parents might never fully understand what I'd built, but that no longer mattered. I had built something real, not just a successful company, but a testament to believing in yourself when no one else would. And sometimes, that's the greatest success of all. The next morning, I approved plans for 20 more eco-sport locations. The future was bright, sustainable, and undeniably real. And this time, I'd built it myself.